Hello and welcome to the iTutor Math Show. I'm your host, Rebel Math Coach Bobby Ozuna. This is Thursday, January 10th, 2019. Trying again for the second time. Filming in front of a live studio audience, by the way. We are live.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Hello and welcome back. This is Bobby Ozuna, the host to the iTutor Math Show. This is episode 2 for the second time. So if you're watching the live stream about 5 minutes ago, we went offline. So we're new at the business. I love my team and I thank you for supporting me. That's all of you right there. Thank you for supporting me. We're trying this again. So again, this is not only episode 2 to the iTutor Math Show, this is the second of a 4-part series entitled The Shooting STAAR, How to Help Your Child Master the Math STAAR Test at Home. So I want to talk about last week. If you were here last week, we did the overview of the STAAR and we worked to learn how to download the STAAR. So if you're in the state of Texas and you have a child that has to take the STAAR test, be encouraged to know that the Texas Education Agency offers the release test every year. What that means is old tests that have been previously administered in the state as the official test are now available for download. And I'm going to tell you right now, as a former test writer and somebody who's been teaching standardized tests for many, many years, you want to leverage these tests to prepare your child for this year's exam. Next week on episode 3, when we talk about building the study plan, we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can use multiple tests to see the similarities and the types of problems to help your child master that STAAR test. So again, last week we did the overview. I kind of offered a little bit of insight and encouragement to families. So if you're a family that has a child that has to take the STAAR test, and if you've ever felt like, I don't know what to do to help my child, or I wasn't a very good math student, therefore I probably cannot help my child, I want to encourage you and tell you, after all the years that I've been teaching, here's the magic, here's the secret. The less you know about math, the better math teacher you will be for your child at home. I know that sounds ironic. I know that sounds crazy. I promise the students I work with, they already know that when they come to me and we sit down on our one-on-one sessions and they say, hey, Bobby, I'm having a problem with blank. How do I do this? They already know. I look at them and I say, I don't know. How do you do it? We're going to get more to that later with different episodes. But for now, we're going to stay focused on the STAAR test and how we can help you start building that success pattern at home so that this year, your child's experience with the STAAR test will be different than it was in the years past. Because I know students that failing the STAAR test really destroys them emotionally. Inside, it hurts them. This is January of the new year, and I can tell you right now, every child in the state of Texas right now, and I think that's 8.6 million children between pre-K and 12th grade in the state of Texas in public school alone. I think it's about 8.6 million students. They have to take the STAAR test. 8.6 million students, and I think of that, 86,000 of that are in my own backyard in Fort Worth. Every one of those kids are going to be hearing from every teacher, every core teacher, STAAR test, STAAR test, STAAR test. Every one of those kids are going to hear from the counselors, STAAR test, STAAR test. Principals, administrators, people passing them in the hallway. There's going to be signs up everywhere saying STAAR test. And then, of course, that's going to slowly start trickling down to the parents who are probably getting emails from schools and administrators talking about the STAAR test. And now, so all of that information, which is really encouraging. I mean, it is nice to know that the whole community of parent, school, and child are on the same page with information. That's very important. But you got to imagine how a child feels and the pressure they feel, even if it's a positive pressure, to know that everywhere I go, everyone's talking about the STAAR test. They're even talking about the STAAR test on the news. So last week I tried to offer a little bit different approach, a little bit different perspective to help families start building success patterns. Building success patterns, which are habitual steps that you can change and implement in your home to start transforming and building what we're going to talk about tonight, the environment and learning at home. So let's look at the topics for this episode 2. So tonight is administering the exam. What does that mean? At the gist of it, it's really easy. I don't need 10 minutes to tell you to just take that test that you downloaded last week, hand it to your child, and grade it. That's the simple of it. But simple is complex and hard is easy. Just keep that in mind. So we're going to talk about time and schedule real fast. So just a reminder, If you have a child in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade and they're taking the Math STAAR this year, the Math Standardized Test in Texas, that's a 2-hour window. That number is going to be very important for you when you're administering the exam. If you have a child in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, middle school grades, that's 3 hours. If you have a child doing what's called the end of course, so you'll hear EOC or end of course, and that's a 4-hour exam. That's basically the culmination that I have completed a course and I'm pretty much done with standardized testing for that exam the rest of my high school career. So the time boxes are very, very important, which rolls into this 3rd bullet. So if you're looking at the screen, the 3rd bullet is very, very important. That is the environment of learning. I want to talk about that because that's essentially the tagline for the show. What is the iTutor Math Show? It's a show that's supposed to be designed to help you build an environment of learning. So what does that mean? What is an environment of learning? Does that mean that we got cups with pencils in them and little, numbers on the wall and it looks like a classroom? No, not necessarily. An environment of learning is basically you as a parent, especially the parent that says, I don't know what to do to help my child. If you're one of those parents, and again, there are 50 million children in the public school system between pre-K and 12th grade in the United States, 51 million. So if you're one of those 51 million, and I know somewhere on YouTube and on the internet, I'm going to find a family that says, hey, that's me. And if it is you, please don't be afraid to comment. Let me know where you're at. I'd love to hear from you. But if you're one of those families of the 51 million children between pre-K and 12th grade that has to take a standardized test, and you don't know the mathematics, and you're confused about the core curriculum, and you don't know how to help your child, and you get this panic as a parent. I'm not going to lie, that's how I started teaching in the first place. A panic when your child comes to you and says, Dad, I have homework. And you look at it, it's fractions. And the first thing, I'm going to tell you right now, the first thing you think about when you see that is, I was a terrible math student. I mean, for me, I think I'll say it every week. If I won't even say their names, but if my math teachers are out there watching, if they don't fall over from a heart attack seeing that I'm sitting here being an advocate for mathematics, they'll know Bobby wasn't a very good student. So I want to encourage you that don't let the fear of what type of student you were as a parent as a student, dictate and determine what type of parent you will be to be the encouragement for your child so that they can be successful and you're building greater success patterns in your family. So the environment of learning looks something like this. It's turning off the television. You downloaded the test already. You need to have a conversation with your child because you know you're already adding an extra element of pressure to your child because the school's already blowing them up with STAAR test conversations, and now you are at home, and worse than that, they got to come home to a parent. It's like, guess what I brought? I got the test, and now you got to give it to them. It's gonna create a panic, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is don't use the word homework. I want you to use the word practice. If we were coaches of an athletic team, we know that practice and how we practice determines how we play in the game. So you remember, you're encouraging a new model of success for your child to help them progress from where they were last year, pass or fail. So what I want you to do is you're going to tell your child that we're going to practice at home. And I'm going to take it so serious that I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing. What does that mean? As a parent, put your phone away. So you're going to put your phone away. You're going to put your phone on silent. You're going to, all those little notifications that pop up in the corner of your phone that you just can't help but go look at, put your phone away. Because if you think we as adults have a hard time with those little notifications, imagine what a child who grew up their whole life with a phone feels like. So what you're going to want to do is say, hey, we're going to schedule some time to take this test, and we're not going to have any phones, and my favorite show that's on television, I'm not going to watch it. What message is that going to send to your child? It's going to tell your child that this is not only serious for my parent, but it's important to them, which means I'm important to them. Which is a totally different approach than saying, get in your room and do the test, or get over there and do your homework, or do you have homework? I know those things are natural. When you're a parent and you love your child and you're afraid for them to fail, that's where fear comes from. That hostility and that anger and that boiling over emotions is basically a result of the fear that you have for them to fail. I'm hoping to liberate you from that tonight, specifically to the STAAR test. But I want you to separate that and say, hey, we're gonna practice the STAAR test. We're gonna take it real serious. I'm gonna turn off the TV, any other distractions. We're gonna make it all about you because you're trying to build a safe place. That's what it means. You're building a safe place to help your child prepare to take this test. So what you have to do is, so for those of you saying, well, I don't have 4 hours on a Tuesday night to administer the test, or I don't have 2 hours on a Wednesday night to administer the test because we have church, or they're in choir, there's some extracurricular activity. Here's what you do at home. You break it up into pieces. So this week coming up or the next week following, you're going to tell your child, hey, for those of you that are in high school, you can need 4 hours to take this test. We're going to do an hour a night for the next 4 nights and be off Friday. Or we'll do 2 hours on Saturday, and we'll do 2 hours the next Sunday, or the next Saturday, or 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday. The point is you want it to be a safe, comfortable environment for them to say, I'm going to take the test. I don't have to get it all done right now. And more than that, as a parent, you want to tell them, I don't care if you pass or fail. Listen to what I'm telling you. Tell your child, tell the student that you're working with, I don't care if you pass or fail. Because secretly between us as adults, the objective of administering the test is not to find out if they pass or fail. It's to find out what they don't know, honestly, in a comfortable state, so that next week when we start working to build the curriculum of what they need to study specifically to them, you actually are only focusing on the things they don't know. And here's a secret to test taking. One more thing that a child learns that they didn't know usually equates to 2 more problems right on a standardized test. One more piece of knowledge area that they learn usually equates to 2 more problems. So if you're those parents who are like, oh, my child only missed it by 1 or 2, then this is going to be a breeze. So administer the test. You could break it up into pieces. Administer that test. Let them be relaxed. Turn your phone off. They turn their phone off. You can break it into pieces. As long as they're taking the test, it needs to be silence for them. Show them that not only do you love them, but everything about what they're doing is very important to you. After that, give them the test. The answer key is available. As I'll just kind of peek real quick. If you download it, here's an example of the 7th grade test. I think the 7th grade test, it comes with your formula charts. It also comes with the answer key. So this one's only 40 questions. So you give them the realistic time box. Let them do the test in the time that they need. Don't let them go over that time, though. I know that you're going to sound like that's not very fair, Bobby, but don't let them go over that time if you can help it. So that's pretty much it. Last week we downloaded the test. This week we are administering the test. You can break that up into pieces. You could take a couple of weeks, and then I want you to grade it. Next week we're going to start talking about how do I, as a parent, start building that curriculum to help them pass that test if I don't know how to do the math myself. So I'm going to leave you some final thoughts before we're off the air this week. And I want to start by quoting author Jeff Olson, who in summation said, success is a process, it's not the finish line. Listen to what I just said. Success is a process. It's not the finish line. The purpose and objective of this show is to host a platform that offers a new approach to helping your children or students mathematically, and it's imperative to me and to my team that I do everything I can to offer that new and different approach. For instance, if you're part of the many families in this country who have a child struggling with mathematics, or you yourself are struggling as an adult student, let me offer this sense of liberty when I say the problem is not unique to you. That means you're not the only person struggling. There's freedom in knowing you aren't the only one struggling with a scenario or circumstance. I've always been fond of saying self-awareness is the key to growth. You have to know where you are to know how to get to the next place. So the first step towards moving away from that place to something better, is to know where you're at today. If you've been unable to help your child because you didn't know the math, or you were not a good math student, like I said before, and you didn't know how to begin, be encouraged to know that on this show, we're now doing this together. Last week, if you watched episode 1 last week, again, I shared how to download the test. If you're outside of the state of Texas, again, I want to remind you, post a comment, let me know where you're at. I'll let my team do some research for you. So just remember this, if success is a series of new habits and patterns that get you to a better place, or even an uncomfortable, unknown place, then you should be excited to know you have already started the process for transforming your home. It only takes the first step, which was last week, which is also the hardest step most of the time, to begin transforming your life and the life of your child academically. You do not have to know anything about math to be the most supportive and capable math teacher or tutor or helper at home. You'll discover that over the course of following this series. I want to encourage you to try a new approach with the child again this week when you administer that test. Remind them that it is not about passing or failing. I'm going to say that again. It is not about passing or failing. The success is just in doing it together as a family. Offer that with love and you will be psychologically breaking down barriers that will help them the rest of their academic careers and their lives. So I want to close out by saying thank you to this week's sponsor. That's Real 2C Group. If you're local to the DFW Metroplex and surrounding areas and you want to sell your home, reach out to Real 2C Group. I'll have their business information in the description. If you'd like to see your shirt worn on the show and you want to be an unofficial sponsor or official sponsor of the show, reach out to me and post a comment. Again, I really thank you for following the show. I thank you for participating with me. If you believe in the mission of the show, if you believe in the cause of what we're trying to do on the show, then I want to encourage you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video. If you're one of the 51 million households in America that have a child in the public school system, then you're going to want to share this with other people, because remember, the problem is not unique to you. The problem impacts all of us, and together we can really overcome this problem together. I thank you for watching. I thank you for your support, and I'll see you next week.